In the last class, we had seen boxing and unboxing in C#. I think we focused on value types and reference types in the last class. So today I'll continue with those, and this is basic C#. Okay, this is something which a person who has not gone through programming have to go through. But then since you already have learned a lot of programming languages, I'm just revising how C# is changing in context of this particular language. Okay, so I think I'll just continue with this, and we'll try to wind up with operators and methods today. So anyway, operators. Okay, you would have come across that in different categories. In Java, we put them into 5 categories. Here also we do the same thing. Okay, arithmetic operators, relational, logical, assignment, increment, decrement, conditional operators, and bitwise operators. Now, these are different types of operators which you would have come across. Okay, the one which we normally use in a day-to-day basis, or we keep using, is arithmetic and relational. Most of the time logicals also. All right, and assignment, increment, decrement, we do it in every time, but only thing which we do not use much is the bitwise operators. Okay, so anyway, I guess everybody knows about the arithmetic operators: plus, minus, multiplication, division, or modulus. Okay, I think I need not explain much about it. Okay, but one thing where most of us have trouble, or most of us go wrong, is the place where we put equal to, assignment operators like equal to, in place of relational operators like equal to. Okay, so it's a conditional checking operator, that equal to. So be a little bit more careful. It's the same. There is no much difference between these operators from Java to C#. It is exactly the same, and maybe the internal working is a little bit different, but we are not going to change anything with respect to what do you call the way in which you produce the code. Okay, so it's going to be the same as Java. Maybe the internal working for them will be different, but for us it's the same. So that is operators. And this is something which normally every programming language they teach about evaluation of expressions. Okay, so how do we evaluate an expression, and how does a computer evaluate an expression is not the same. You would have learned this in C, C++, any language you start. I think they would have taught you this, that every operator which you just saw has a precedence. Okay, when I say precedence, priority, in other words. All right, they are all evaluated from left to right using the rules of precedence of operators. All right, let me just give you a few things. I think you would have already come across, but let us just revise it. High priority. You see these symbols, multiplication, division, and modulus, these symbols take high priority, and low priority goes to plus and minus in arithmetic operations, in general evaluation of expressions. How does it happen? Okay, the first pass, what happens first? I mean, every expression which you give the system to evaluate goes through 2 passes. The first pass will evaluate all the high priority operators as they are encountered, and then during the second pass, the low priority operators are applied. Okay, so just to explain this, I have and one more thing is that within parenthesis assumes highest priority. Okay, now evaluation. I've just given a program there, or a number there. Can you just check that and tell me what might be the answer? Okay, this you can think from a human perspective. You will obviously start from the beginning and go to the end. You just follow those numbers, or the operators as it when it comes. But just look at a computer's angle, and you see that there are 2 passes here. The first pass, it will first execute all high priority operators are applied as they are encountered. Second pass, the low priority operators are applied. With that, can you find out what is the answer for this evaluation and give me the answer? 10. Perfect. I hope you follow. All right. This is an evaluation of an expression. How did I calculate that? The first time you run this entire line, okay, just go through this entire statement. You see that there is one division operator and one multiplication operator. The first pass, during the first pass, only that will be applied, which means 12 divided by 3 will be considered. 9 will be ignored. All the symbols before that will be ignored. Just division and left and right. 12 by 3. Which means 4 will be replaced there. 3 into 2, 6 will be replaced there. So it will be 9 minus 4 plus 6 minus 1. So 9 minus 4. Then after that, it's only plus and minus, all these low priority operators. Then you just add them and you'll get 10 as the output. 11 minus 1. So you'll get 10 as the answer. So this is evaluation of expressions left to right using the rules of precedence of operators. Decision making. Okay, when it comes to decision making, I think it's the same as Java, so I'm not going to take much time in this. I'm just going to tell what are the different decision making capacities in C sharp which is available. If, simple if else, nested if else ladder, okay, and switch cases and conditional operator statements. All these are the same exactly as in Java. So I'm not going to take syntax and explain. You know how an if statement works, how if else works in Java. Same logic here in C sharp, no difference. So I'll only highlight where that there is a difference, and I want you to notice it. Okay, switch case, I think you already know switch case. I'm just showing the expression once again. Switch, expression, case, value, same logic. Case, something, then code block, break. Case, something else, code block, break. Default is there and default block, break. So this is switch case, same as in Java. Looping. Now, I guess you have come across a lot of different types of looping statements, and one of those is the while statement. Okay, I think while and do while, I think you are very much familiar with. All right, I think this is almost repeating a lot of times. I think most of them we don't use do while, we just use while, unless there is a situation where you need to use do while. So the while statement, do while statement, no difference in Java as well as in C sharp. So I'm going to ignore that. I hope you know the syntax and stuff. For, same thing. For increment, for initialization, and then you have a condition and then followed by increment or decrement operators, etc., etc. So I'm not going to focus much on that also, because you know the for statement as in Java, here also in C sharp. All right, and there are different types of for loops in Java actually, if you have noticed that. Okay, most of you would have come across a simple for loop only, but there are different types of for loops. If you notice, next time when you open NetBeans, just type for, and you see a lot of templates are available for just that for loop. All right, so we can use for in a different, multiple ways, but normally we have used the traditional way. Same thing is available here in Java also, but sorry, in C sharp also. In C sharp, you have one more extra inbuilt for loop, okay, which is there in Java also, but in Java you don't use a separate word, you use the same word for. Only thing is you change the parameters passed inside the for. But in C sharp you have one extra thing called for each statement. Okay, I think you would have come across this in Python also. All right, so for each statement, I'll only talk about for each statement because the remaining all are familiar to you. I'll just take for each statement. The for each statement is similar to the for, but it's implemented a little bit differently. All right, this is a special type of for loop, which is enabling you to iterate through collection classes. Okay, please note when I say collections, I'm talking about lists, hash tables. In Java, we have come across hash map. Okay, like that, lot of things which it denotes a collection of stuff. Okay, not just like an array. Array is also a collection. I'm just telling collections is something which like array list we had a list view which we convert. I mean, we had an Java normal list, we converted into a list view. So all these things are called collection classes. Okay, hash map and hash table, etc., etc. So those things have a collection, and it's not recommended to always use a for loop because for loop looks a little bit bigger. You can make it simple using for each. I'll just show the syntax. That's it. For each, one word. Okay, please note it is one word, for each, no space. Right, for each within brackets. I just want you to remember the syntax. I'll show you an example in the next slide, but just look at the syntax. Type, variable name, in, collection. And then you have the body of the loop. I'll show you an example, but remember, you need to say, for example, a collection. The collection can be replaced with an array name or a list name or a hash map name, whatever it is. You can put that as a collection, in collection. And then before that, you need a temporary value in which you will hold every data which comes out of that collection. I'll show you an example. This is an array. Just ignore that syntax right now. I'll come back to the syntax. Just think that is an array. Int my array in which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is located. How do I print all the values inside that array? For each, one word. Okay, my collection is my array. A collection of data is stored in that variable called my array. So I just put collection in the place where the syntax demanded collection. I just put my array's name, and then in is a keyword. So that's why I've highlighted that. Data type and variable name. What type of data are you storing in this collection? I'm storing int. So I just told int and a temporary value. So int m in my array, console.writeLine m. That's all. So I'll just tell you a replacement of this code. How would I write the same code in normal for? I'll just write for int I is equal to 0, I is less than my array dot length I plus plus console dot write line I. The same thing is written in a shorthand form for each int m in my array console dot write line m. That's it. Okay, no need for increment decrement, no need to know the length of the array. This is one important thing. Okay, without even using an inbuilt method or a function, you can even loop through an array without writing the length or the get length or whatever it is. Okay, so this is one way for each. In handling arrays, I think it's the same as Java, but then Java is a little bit more flexible in the way in which you call an array. All right, that paragraph, the parenthesis what you put doesn't make a big difference in Java, but here it is a little bit. Okay, so array is a group of contiguous or related data items that share a common name, and it refers to those items by an index value, which you already know about what is an array. Okay, here we are going to create an array by just declaring an array. You create a memory location and then you put value into that memory location. Okay, so the syntax of creating an array in C# is type. Okay, you need to tell what type of array are you creating. Second, array name, that is up to you, is equal to new, and then you need to give the type and within brackets size. This is the syntax. Okay, let me just show you how to declare an array. So this is the syntax. Type square brackets array name. Okay, example int square brackets array name, my array. So int is the data type, square brackets, just I will not tell square brackets, I'll be reading it as array. So this line basically says create an int array called my array. I hope you follow. Okay, for the system, that is the way. You cannot change the order in which it is written. This is the way to create an array in C#. Okay, how do I create a memory location? By the way, this is just declared an array. It is not allotted with a memory location yet, which means the by default value right now. Okay, if you remember what I told in the last class, we have value type and reference type. Can anybody tell me what type does an array come under? Value type or reference type? Array comes under value type or reference type. Perfect, Ali, it is reference type. Okay, if it is a reference type, what is the by default value of all reference types? Null. Okay, null. Are you sure? Yes. Okay. So when it comes to reference types, all the by default value of all reference types is just null, not zero, null. Reference types. Okay. Now you might ask a question that it is an int. Int's by default value is 0. No, it's not an int. It's an int array. Arrays is a reference type. So all reference types by default value is null. In the line what you see in the PPT, it says int array called my array. You have not assigned anything to it. You have not initialized it to have a memory location. So by default right now, the word my array carries null as a value because reference type. Then next line, you see that the syntax to create an array, to allocate a memory location. So by the way, we write it in one line. I'm just splitting it into 2-3 lines to explain how it works. Okay, the second line, what you see there is array name is equal to new type within brackets size. Okay, this is how you give a space. Okay, you create memory locations in memory. Say for example, this one creates my array with a location of allocation of 5 memory locations and the name called my array. All right, so 5 spaces are created for you with that particular array. This is what we are saying. We are creating a new int array which has 5 as its size. This is the syntax to create a memory location. You've already come across all these things, but just putting it, how do I put value inside the array? Just like how you use it in Java, you call the array name within brackets, you pass the index of that particular array and then you pass the value. Okay, array name within brackets index is equal to value. All right. Now, when it comes to this, see, ignore the double quote. It's just to understand that the value can be put inside. Now, if you notice here, index again starts with 0. No exceptions in this case. Okay, index always starts with 0. So if I say 5, it starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the minimum value you can store is 0. Maximum you can store is 5 minus 1, 4. Same logic, no difference here. Again, handling arrays. All right, so we can write and directly declare a value without even telling the size. Last slide, what I showed was if you told the size, you have to tell one by one after that values what are to be put inside. But this is a way in which you can assign as well as initialize in one line itself. Okay, like this, for example, int array called number is equal to, within flower brackets, I've put 5 values. I can keep on putting how many ever values I want. What happens here is it basically creates an array with that particular numbers, whatever number you have given, and the size is automatically initialized based on the number of values you pass to that flower brackets after a comma. Okay, this is also a way of initializing and assigning values in one line, one syntax. Okay, this is also equivalent to this. Okay, you can see that this is the syntax what we have covered so far, and within brackets you can pass. This is also equivalent, but the only difference is that after this line is a little bit more lengthy. This is a shorthand of creating an array in C#. Okay, now in C#, every array we create is coming from a class. Okay, array is itself a class, so the class is system.array class. Okay, and this class has a number of methods and properties. I want you to understand the words what I'm using. Okay, that's why I kept talking about object-oriented programming. This class has a number of methods and properties, right, that can be used to manipulate arrays more efficiently. Examples I'll give you. Length gives you the length of the array. Now, sorts the elements in a one-dimensional array. Please note the difference between these two. Okay, length is not a method, it's a property. It gives the length of your array because length is equal to 4, length is equal to 5. If it's a name value pair, then it is obviously a property and length is a property here, right? If at all you get the method called getLength, then it is not a property. I hope you follow. GetLength means a method. Okay, yeah, that's an action. Length is a property, an attribute, an adjective, in other words. Okay, sort, that's an action. You're telling the system or the array to get sorted. So you are sorting the elements, that becomes a method. Reverse. Okay, how do I reverse the contents of one? By the way, these are all inbuilt methods. You can just sort an array using that method called sort. You can reverse the elements in an array using the method called reverse. These are all methods inside the array class, which is there in C#. Okay, copy to, these are all methods. As you can see that even if you don't understand the verb and stuff, you can also see the symbol. If that bracket is there, automatically you can understand it is a function, okay, or a method. But if there is nothing, you are just accessing it like a name value pair, then it is a property or an attribute. Okay, that's all. Apart from array, in Java you would have come across something called list. All right, it is in java.util.list. All right, so similarly we have something called array list in C#. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. It is just coming from system.collections namespace, right? Because it's a collection of data and it is following that object-oriented concept. Okay, it can store a dynamically sized array of objects. Please understand that is the difference between array and array list. Array is statically typed. Okay, making a dynamic array is a little bit more complicated, but when it comes to array list, okay, it's a dynamically sized array of objects. When I say array of objects, there comes the one more advantage for us. Array, you have to give a specific type, data type. Okay, and it creates only in that data type, which means you can't store anything, you can't do boxing, unboxing there. But when it comes to array list, you have an array of objects. An object can store any data type you would like to have it. Okay, so I've just used examples, a few here, right? So anyway, it includes a number of methods to support operations like sorting, removing, enumerating its contents, etc., etc. Okay, even Java does it, but a little bit more efficient. We have methods here in C#. Okay, I'll just show you a syntax. This is just an example. Array list within bracket. I mean, after that you give a name, object name. Array list is a class, so obviously cities is a object name, is equal to new array list. Within brackets, we have mentioned the size. Okay, it is just an idea. It's not like it is fixed The 30 is not fixed. You can even, increase it later. It's not a problem at all. Now I can just call, instead of putting that bracket and all those things, you can use methods like this. Okay. By default, it has size of 16, but you can increase the capacity of however you want, whenever you want. Okay. To add elements to this list, you just need to call cities dot add. That's all. You just keep adding stuff inside it, however, whatever data type you have created it as. Okay, whatever data type you want it as. So you'll have to just keep adding data into that list, and the array list is ready. That array list is one example of a collections class in C#. Okay, when the situation demands, I'll take a little bit more advanced collections. But right now, just remember, arrays belong to, a system.arrays class, but array list belongs to system.collections class. Okay, so these are important keywords which you need to remember. One more thing we're going to see in this class is methods. After this, I'll start with the program. Okay, so methods in object-oriented programming. You know what is a method in any object-oriented programming, not just C#. Any object-oriented programming method is a small block of code which is used with the lines of code which you have written it will be called or can be called again and again. So they are like small building blocks of a program. Okay, so object-oriented programming, objects are used as building blocks in developing a program, and they encapsulate data and code to manipulate the data. Okay, so as much as possible, I normally recommend that you break your programs into small reusable pieces of code so that we can reuse it whenever we want. Okay, and the code designed to work on the data is known as methods, which is here in C#. Anywhere, just C# I'm telling in relevance too, but anywhere it is the same. In C#, every method must be contained in a class. Obviously, this is not just C#. Any object-oriented programming you would have seen, okay, which is strictly object-oriented, you will find this. Method should be inside a class. Not only method, according to object-oriented programming like Java and C#, everything should be inside a class. So obviously, method is not an exception. Method also should be inside a class only. And I guess everybody remembers the syntax. So let me just put it. It is not different, guys. It's the same as Java. Okay, only thing is the data modifiers, the access modifiers, a little bit different compared to Java. That's all. I'll talk about it in the future classes, but just remember method syntax. Okay, the first one, which is green in color, the modifiers. Okay, that some people call it as access specifiers, some people call it as access modifiers. Idea is, I guess most of you know. All right, so basically there are different types of modifiers here. I'll talk about that in object-oriented programming, like encapsulation, abstraction, and all those things later. But for example, here remember public, private, or protected. Okay, let's take only two to make it very simple: public and private. All right, public means anybody can access, private means only that class can access. We'll keep it as simple. Modifier, example. Type. Okay, well, I'll just put the word type, but understand it is the return type. Okay, return type can be void. All right, a return type can be void or any of the data types what we have come across, including classes and objects. Okay, so you can just say return type is also a class or maybe an object of a class. Okay, maybe it's a int, maybe it's a string, maybe it's a boolean. Okay, whatever it is, return type. And then comes something which is not inbuilt, but you have to create method name. You give a method name. All right, normally we expect you to give a name which makes sense. As soon as you read that method, you need to understand what that method is doing. All right, so to keep it as simple as possible, but it should be legible and clear of what that method is doing or the action what you're performing inside that block of code, method name. And then within brackets, you pass a formal parameter list. Okay, I've just put that as syntax, guys. You can change it into anything. Okay, it can be like, say, passing one number, passing a string, passing a boolean, maybe passing 10 numbers, passing an array, passing an object. It doesn't matter. Okay, it's a formal parameter list. Now, before we proceed further, I wanted to remember there are 4 types. You would have learned this in C++ onwards, or maybe C also you have learned. Okay, every method, there are 4 types of methods possible. The first method is no return type, no argument passed, which means void is the type, and method name after that just open and close bracket. Nothing is passed, nothing is returned. First type. Second type is something is passed, nothing is returned. Like for example, I pass something, like parameter I'm passing, but nothing, return is void only. All right, that is also possible. Third is the reverse of that. I'll be expecting a return type, but I'll not be passing anything. And the fourth one, I'll be passing something and I'm also expecting a return. Okay, there are 4 types of methods. You would have come across that in every programming language, so I'm not going to take anything new here. With this, I'll stop the presentation. Let's go to a program and figure out how these methods and things work in C Sharp. Okay, so for a little bit more demonstration, I'm going to take the same program what you some of you have got in the last interview. I guess check the next smallest palindrome or something. Okay, so I'll take that example for explaining how a method works. All right, so I think the first batch received that question. I'm not sure. The next questions we'll see later. I thought this question is a perfect one to explain how methods work. Okay, I'm not explaining about the program into deep, but then I'm just going to take methods as an example. Okay, the question what you got is to take a number from the user and find the next palindrome, the smallest palindrome available in your program. So I'm not going to go into how you should have done the program, but then I'm just going to take that example for myself to explain how a method works and how methods work within C Sharp. Okay, so the first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore the main method and I'm going to create my own method. So for that purpose, I hope the screen is clear to you. So let me just continue. I am going to create a simple method. Okay, and the method is going to take a number and return true or false. Okay, if the number is a palindrome, it is going to return true. If the number is not a palindrome, it is going to return false. I'm not writing the actual logic yet, but the entire program is revolving around finding a palindrome. So I'll break it down into one method. The method is give a number. I'll tell you whether it is palindrome or not. Let's do that. So how do I create a method? First of all, let me make it public. Okay, public is just to make sure that everybody can access it. Okay, but within the class or anywhere in the class, but since it's a method, nobody will be allowed to access it without talking to the object, even the same class itself. Okay, let's do that. I'm going to create a public. What is the return type I'm expecting out of this palindrome finding out method? Yes or no, nothing else. You give a number, I'll just say whether it is a valid palindrome or not. That's all. So I'm not expecting an int. I'm not expecting a string. I'm just expecting a Boolean value. So I'll just see, please note bool is the keyword. Boolean is a class. I want a data type there, return type. I'll just put bool. That's enough. And method name, I can just say check palindrome or okay, I'll just say check palindrome. Is that fine? This is a method name. The method normally just explains what it is going to do. The method is going to check whether the number which you give is a palindrome, which means I have to give a number. Argument becomes the number itself. So I'll just say int number. And please note in Java, normally the bracket will be here in this particular place, and then you can close the bracket here. But C# will automatically put this structure for clarity's sake. Okay, so this is one. Now, please note there is an error automatically showing. The reason is because it expects a return value. The moment you say return value, until it gets a return, this program will keep on throwing an error. So let me keep it simple by saying return false. Now that error is gone. Now, whatever I write here just tells me that if the number is a palindrome, I'll return true. If anything else goes wrong or anything else, just say false. No. So if you say check palindrome and give a number, if the number is palindrome in this code where the cursor is blinking, what I'm writing, I'll return true. Otherwise, if nothing is there, returns false. That's it. So let me start with the program. I think most of you are already aware. So let me just use the same program. I'll create a temporary value to store the values so that the original number does not get forgotten by the end of the program. And then let me create the reverse of that program. So number, I want to get the reverse of that number. And I want a number which will recreate or take the sum of all these things and make it into the previous number or the reversed number properly. So I'll just say sum. So I have three different variables I'm creating for this particular purpose. Now, I'll be doing the operation on the number which is passed. So by the end, I need to confirm that whether this number and the reversed number are the same. So I need a temporary copy of this number. So let me just create temp is equal to number. Let's keep it like that. And then I'll write while. Okay, I'll write a simple loop here. The loop is while something is true. What is true? While the number what you have passed is greater than 0. The moment you have reached the last line, it will become 0. So as long as it is 0, do this loop. Okay. Next, find the reverse. Reverse is equal to, how do I get the last number of your, the number which you have given, I want to get the last number. I can just say number mod 10. Okay, I am using all what I've told in the PPT. Anyway, reverse is equal to number mod 10. It will give the last number. Okay, for example, if I pass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at this particular line, all I've got is 5, the last number, because it's mod. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to recreate that number, or redo that number once again. So what would I do? I'll just say sum, the sum which you have given is equal to, I'll put within brackets. The reason why I'm putting within brackets is because I am going to perform a multiplication and then I'm going to add it. So I'm going to say sum, whatever value is there in sum right now, into 10. Okay, so that that number is rebuilt once again, and then add that to the reverse as the value which you have given there. Okay, now you see there is an error there. This is something common which is available in Java as well as in C#. You can see what is the error. When I move my mouse here, it says use of unassigned local variable sum. Okay, it didn't have this problem with temp or reverse, but only with sum it has a problem, because you are calculating based on a value which is given there. I did not initialize it. Okay, so to fix this error, all you need to do, okay, please note, I have not done that to any other variable because nobody threw an error here. Only sum is throwing an error. So let me just fix that problem by just initializing it to 0. Done. This is enough. So now I've got the reverse number added to that sum. And let me continue. I need to also remove that 5 from the number. So I'll just say number is equal to number divided by 10. So now, if at all I've passed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what would have happened? A reverse would have hold 5. Okay, sum would have added 5 to its number. And the last one, this would have become 1, 2, 3, 4. Next time when I run, 4 will be taken. Sum will be added with 5, 4 will be added. 50 into 50 plus 4, 54. Okay, and it goes on. Number will become 1, 2, 3. And this entire loop will finish. So when the end of the loop, all I need to do here is to check whether that temporary number, which is a copy of your original number, is equal to this number. Okay, so I'm going to write if temp is equal to. Please note that is a comparison operator. Okay, so is equal to the number which, sorry, not number, the sum. The sum which number would have become 0 by here. Please remember that. That's why it comes out of the loop. The moment the number becomes lesser than or equal to 0, it comes here outside this, and I say temp and sum. If they both are equal, if the number which you gave and the number which I have reversed it are the same, then it means it is a palindrome. So I'm going to say return true. That's it. I'm not going to write else part. Please note, only if both the numbers are same. If the reversed number as well as the given number are the same, I'll return true. Otherwise, all the time this program is going to just give false. I hope this logic is clear. This is a simple method which we have used. Okay. I hope this method is clear to all of you. Let's check this method. So how do I check that method? Let's call the user. By the way, this is a function or a method. Okay. If I run the program now, this method will never be called. The reason is main method is the entry point, and without the main method, you cannot call the palindrome method, check palindrome method. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to first ask the user to enter a number. So I'm going to write console.writeLine. Let me ask him to enter a number. All right. So with that, I'll just say I need to take that number from the user. So let me create a value. So int num is equal to. Okay, I need to take the value, so I'll just say console.readLine. This is the method which I need to pass, but there is a problem. I think I've already discussed this. You cannot implicitly convert string to int. Why is it saying it's a string? I didn't even enter a number. How did it know it's a string? If you take the readLine method, you can see that the return type of a readLine method is string. So if I give readLine, it will automatically think that you're taking a string, but you want to store it in a number. So how do I do it? Just parse it. Int dot parse whatever the user is entering. Okay, I've not done exception handling. You can do it later. I'll take it in the next class. But then remember, I took the number. Let's assume that you're entering proper whole numbers into this picture. So now I've got the number. All I need to do is to check whether the number which you have entered is a palindrome or not. So how do I do that? I need to call this method and pass this number what the user has given. That's all. So can I call that method directly? Can I call check palindrome? No, that method is not available here. The reason is this is a method. This is another method inside this class called program. So how do I call this check palindrome method? I'll just call program, which means I need to create an object of that. So I'll just say probe is equal to new program. This is an object of this class. That's it. Okay. Now all I need to do is call the program object and then see whether that method is available. The method which I created is now available because you created an object of that particular class. So now let me just write a simple if condition. If program dot check palindrome within brackets the number what the user has given to me right now, I am going to write console dot write line. Okay, I'll just put the number what the user has entered. So I'll use this mechanism. I'll just say is a palindrome. If that method returns true, this is a palindrome. How do I pass the value? I'll just call that num here. That's it. Okay, I'll just put an else condition. If they return false, I'm going to copy this, paste it below. I'll just say it is not a palindrome. That's it. Okay, so what I have done here is I created a method which will check for palindrome, and then I call that method and just see whether that number is a palindrome or not. Let's check it. So let me just run the project once again. Now here it asks enter a number. Let me just enter an actual palindrome. So I'll say 1221. Let's see whether it says, yeah, it is a palindrome. Fine. Okay, let me run it once again, just to check whether the program is right or wrong. Okay, now next one is 1234. Let me put, it is not a palindrome. Okay, so my method is working. Okay, so I hope this is clear right now till now. All right, so what I did was I just wrote a method and I called it now. Now the actual advantage is to apply it in the program what you got in the last interview. Okay, so let me just change this code. Instead of putting this, the question was simple. The question was to find the next smallest palindrome. Okay, so what should I do? All I need to do is to go through, for example, you have taken a number from the user. The next step would be to find the next number which is a palindrome. So it's simple. I just put a while loop. Okay, I am not going to say what is the condition. I'll just say while true. And when I reach the condition, I'll come, because I don't know what is the next number. It can be 5 digits later or 10 digits later or 100 digits later. I do not know. So I do not know what is the length. So I can't use a for loop here. I'll just use a while. And what I'm going to do here is, first thing I'm going to do here is I need to go through every number from that number what you have been given. So imagine if you have given 999, 999, you have given 999. I need to find what is the next biggest number, okay, without including that number, next smallest number. So I need to increment it. So I'll just say num plus equal to 1. I'm just incrementing it by 1 so that the next number I'm going to check, the first number I'm going to check is the next number of what you have given. From that I'm going to loop. So I'm going to write a simple if condition inside this while loop. Okay, if I'll call that object and say check palindrome of the number what you have just worked on. Okay, in that one, all I'm going to do here is if it returns true. Okay, if the number returns true, then what happens? I just want you to print console dot write line. I can put something like this. Whatever number you just got is the next smallest palindrome. And I need to pass that number as a parameter. That's it. You can also put num plus that concatenation also is fine. And after that, you cannot stay. You have found the next smallest number, come out of the loop. Okay, I guess this is done. Let me just try to run the program. So if I enter 999, the next smallest palindrome is 1001, 1001. Okay, so let's run it once again and check with a different number. I'll put 1234. The next palindrome should be 1331. Okay, that's the next smallest palindrome, no other number. And it goes on like this. Okay, if I put 1001, the next one should be 1111. and it goes on. Okay, so but we have got the same logic what they have asked, but only thing is this is my logic actually. The program looks very simple because I've written the bigger code separately in a method and I called it whenever I require. I recursively called it in a loop so that I go through every number after that without writing much logic. I wrote one logic which I know. I just reused it here once again for my benefit and I got the output. Okay, so this is also a way of using methods. And if you see the way in which I've written code doesn't have anything to do with Java or C Sharp. Only thing difference here is the console.writeLine. Instead of console.writeLine, I would just write the word system.out.println. Idea is still the same. Okay, so I hope you got this. And with this, I think I'll stop for today. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will see object-oriented programming like encapsulation, polymorphism, all these things in the next class.